Hey, honey, wash day. Toksa Hour is live from Spokane, Washington, that is. Anyways, so I'm here in a hotel drinking hotel coffee. It's not the best, but it works. I'm wearing my shirt too. You probably can't really read it, but it says transcend the bullshit. That's how I feel this morning. Cheers. Little hot, little hot. So I'm here. I'm here in Spokane. I'm very excited about it. I was. I'm going home today. Excited about that too. It's been a long journey, a long week here. It's been a good week though. Spokane is hosting the 56th NIEA conference. And so that's what I came for. And I was just elated. I really like, you know what, I really like when these conventions, no matter where I'm at, what convention, it always seems at the very beginning they do a land grant or land acknowledgement. And I like that. Like I don't know when this started happening, if it was before or what, but I like it. So they acknowledge like the Spokane people or the Nez Perce and the Coeur d'Alene. Anyways, they acknowledged all of the different tribes and stuff and from this area. And so I thought that was really nice and respectful. And I like that. I like that. You know, I like that organizations are not forgetting. Yeah. I got this shirt. I got this shirt from a place called Boo Ridley's. Boo Ridley's. So when I came to Spokane, it is crazy expensive here. Taxis, anyways. So we got here, we landed, and there was no shuttle. It was amazing. There's no shuttle from from the airport to the hotel or the hotel to the airport. And I have no idea about what ride share is. I do now, but I didn't. And so there's this whole group of people with ride share waiting, you know, and I'm like, well, what is ride share? Does it mean we're sharing rides or what is ride share? And I guess that's Uber and Lyft, but I didn't know that. So now I know. And then so I didn't have ride share. So then you go to down and there's taxis. And that they wouldn't let me and my boss like share a taxi. We had to ride in separate taxis. That was really crazy that we had to ride in separate taxis. And then they charged, you know, like it was like $50 to go a couple miles down the road. That's crazy. And they were saying, excuse me, they were saying they do that because of these conventions. They one big because we weren't the only convention in town. There was two other conventions in that same building. And so that's what they do, I guess. So I was saying I'm gonna watch Chinko and I'm gonna walk with my bag 2 miles back to the airport. So if you see me, give me a ride. This is my first cup of coffee. I kind of still adjusting to the hours. I'm still getting up over here. It's like 3:30, which is 4:30 at home. So I'm still adjusting. So it's gonna be fun going home and just going to bed because I'm tired of traveling now. I don't travel much. I mean, not like this. Like I will prefer riding in a car because airplanes and airports are crazy, but they're quicker. You know, like I like that part too. They're quicker because if you drive forever. And when you fly, you just get there. Anyways, so um, what I'm feeling like this Doksha hour, and I've been feeling like it for a while, but it's like we're gonna try to get to a place of reclaiming peace, reorganizing our nations, and restoring justice. And so all of these things are going to be talked about today. um, in Maggie's way, in Toksa Hour's way. It's not like the elitist way, where everything's just a perfect plan laid out kind of thing. So I came, here to this conference, and I was really like, a lot of me was in this place of um revitalization, or like empowering myself, re-empowerment, if that's a word. um so like this morning I was thinking, what am I going to talk about, and how do I talk about it? How do I talk about all of this stuff um with NIE, and about like what's happening in our nation and in the world? So thinking about that, like saying, this morning we rise with our coffee, right? I hope you guys all got your coffee. You need your coffee because this might be deep. Maybe you don't need coffee because coffee might make you anxious. I might make you anxiouser, more anxious, and it should be the word. So we rise this morning with the medicine of the connection. So we're going to be talking about educators from across Turtle Island, how they came. And anyways, let me finish that. So from educators across Turtle Island to the voices calling for justice in Gaza. Today, we're going to reflect on what NIEA reminded me, that reclaiming our nations begins with reclaiming our relationships, our land, and our sense of purpose. So here is my takeaways from NIEA. I participated in a presentation, and I want to give a shout out to Nakina Mills. Nakina Mills was here. I didn't get to take a picture, so I should have stopped. She was running around a crazy Oglala Wea, running around the conference because she works, working for the conference. Anyways, but she was there, and she did this presentation with another person, and I can't remember her name, but I know Nakina. And Toksa Hour knows Nakina, and the viewers know Nakina because she, for a short, brief time, I mean, she would come on as a guest, but she was also she co-hosted with us for a short while. And so Nakina was there, and she did this presentation about place-based reclamation. And I was just like, yeah, I couldn't do the whole assignment because there wasn't enough time, because there's too many things going through my head about like, where do you start? Where do you start in community? And how do you put that out? Where does that go? I should have asked Nakina to come up. She probably is on a plane somewhere. So, but where does that go? Where, like, I thought, first, because you had to do it from the place you work, like your organization. And so, but I was in my place. I was in my place for my kids and my grandkids, And I was thinking about Oblaya community. And I was thinking about, we live on this like a swamp area. And I was thinking about that. And then there's this tree. There's this old cottonwood tree, and where I live. And my grandpa Charlie planted that tree. And my mom says she was about 5 years old when that tree was planted. And Lake Creek always comes by and they want to trim it up because it's close to their lines. And so I've been like making arguments for the tree. And so I'm willing to spend a bunch of money that I don't have to reroute that line so the tree could be saved, because my mom was 5 when that was planted. So that's a memory. And so when I think about like our connection to the land and our sovereignty and all of that tree represents that. Like the land, the grass, all of that. But that tree is my mom's memory. And so that memory is my memory. It's our memory. And so the past um 10 years that we've been there living on that land and with that tree, we have those memories. But that tree also holds the memory of my grandma Clara, of my uncle Charlie, of um there was Father Charles, my grandma Julie, my great grandma Julie, my grandpa Herb, um, my auntie Sherry, my uncle Tommy, and my uncle Dwayne, and my uncle Wayne, and Justin and Warren. So that tree, like because of how that tree is, it's in that way for me now. Like there's a lot of memory now in that tree because that tree has witnessed a lot of things. And then, and then it goes to we have like, what do you call those, troves or tree lines of um, choke cherry trees, and we have buffalo berries, all of those things. So there's a lot of memory there. And so that's where I went with this place. So it was hard for me to do it for the place I worked and like how to make that work. I did it from the place of where I was, like with on my land, and how that land is sacred to me and to my family. And even though this land is like Dawes Act allotment land, because um it still represents something of my past. And so we've been there on this land for, let's see, my great great grandmother and grandfather. So there's Alan um, and Lewis Bush. So 5 generations. And now we're going to probably be going 6 generations just specifically on that land. And so that is really for me, like an empowerment thing. And so when we went through this process of, good morning, Raymond. Oh, um, so, so, excuse me. So when I think about that, like, how do we do that as our nations? So we have like our tribal organized, our tribal group, our band, our Oglala, Sichangu, like how where we are parts of something bigger. So we know there's this Ocheti Shakowing, and then we know there's the Titawa Ocheti Shakowing, and then we know there's the Oglala, and then we go much smaller and we get down to a place of our Tiwahe and our Tioshpai. So when we need to get there to that place and really think about the land and what it's done for us, and then how we hold it sacred and we honor it, and then we go from there. So trying to get us to a place of that versus this other place of where we're at, because where we're at we can't get along, and all we're doing is fighting with each other over power and influence. All we're fighting each other over is money, and the who has it and who doesn't have it. And that is all colonialism. That is all colonization. What is dividing us? And when I think to this place of Gaza and the Palestinians, um, and all of what we learned, or what I've learned and what I've tried to bring to Toksa Hour in regards to um, learning here. And so one of the things is there is so much money in the world that is influencing division. And so we have to think about that. Like, what is influencing our division? Because we need to get to a place where we need to unite. We need I don't know how to say this. It's like, and I've been through this a lot, right? Like I've tried constitutional reform. I've done all of that. I've tried it, worked on it, trying to do these things. And then the frustration of it because it doesn't change. But the reality of it, the why it doesn't change is because it's in our families. And those are a little bit harder to acknowledge and accept. But because our families are broken, we don't have unity. So unity doesn't have to be, we all live in a yellow submarine. That we don't need that. We need unity within our families, because that's where the healing happens, is unity in our families. You look out for your family, you take care of your family, you talk to each other when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Those levels of accountability, it happens in the family. But what we have is there's so much external influence that is causing problems in our families. And so NIEA, what they do for us is trying to help education do these issues of identity, putting that with the school systems, because our families are struggling. The unfortunate thing about assimilation is our NIEA and education is assimilation. So there's this part of assimilation that is being forced upon us. And it's been for a very long time. And so I think, I really respect the NIEA because they try to, we know there's assimilation, we know that, and we might think of things and quotes like Sitting Bulls, let's put our minds together and make the best of it. Let's do something good. Because that's always what growth is, right? And then healing is like that too. But what NIA does is helps us stand and say, but we don't have to give up who we are to make that agreement. We don't have to do that. We can push and put all of these things. So the teacher in the classroom may replace the uchi at home for the day. Like that might happen. And so the thing that I thought about with that, the place-based reclamation or place-based acknowledgement of where we are and what we're doing, is acknowledging the land in which we exist and then respecting it. So we have to start in our homes, we have to start with our families, and we have to start within our communities. And so that's hard work. That's the hard work. It's easy to get on like platforms like this to talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. I mean, it's easy to go sit on tribal council and ban everybody, It's easy to do stuff like that. The harder part is actually getting in your community and doing the work. And tribal councils don't do that. They don't come to the communities and do that. They just talk. And so we have to get to a place where our communities then are becoming strong, so then we can start moving to reclaim who we are. Not just lip service to say I'm Oglala, whatever that means, but to actually do it, to be honorable people to our ancestors. I think that's the way you would eventually address the drugs and alcohol on the reservation. If we can get the accountability within our families. Because if we sober up, then things change. And the realization of why we may be drinking and why we may be drugging is because there's people on our reservation that want us like that, because then they make money off of it. And some of those people are like traditional people, like they put themselves on a platform, or people put them on a platform, and they're harming. But we can't do anything about that because it's all heavily embedded into tribal government, drugs and politics, alcohol and politics. But what we can do is turn into our families and start healing and doing place-based reclamation there. Why is this land important? Why do we love this place? Why do we not leave? Why do we not leave? So I really I was really impacted by that. It just kind of sat with me, and it just like, like just like things going off in my mind. And so I wanted to thank Nakina for doing, for doing that. And I only went to that presentation because Nakina's name was on it. That's why I went there. And I'm very thankful that I was a part of that. And I could support Nakina because I care deeply about her and about her success in life. So I walked away thinking our strength is not just in individual leadership, but it's collective direction. So we have to collectively make some decisions about where we're going, what we're doing. So I want to ask you something. What's one way your community practices reclamation? Through school, language, or family? Like what is your way? What is your way? I was telling you mine. Mine was in that tree and teaching around that tree and the environment in itself. Why is this important? And then I went to this other session, and it was on team building. And so I went through it, and it was just all us Indians, all us natives in a room, don't know who each other are. And we um and we organized with each other. We didn't know who each other were, but we organized. And we had a goal of building an airplane. So we had to build an airplane that would fly the farthest. And so we had to remember how to build an airplane, a paper airplane. And then you had to decorate the airplane so that it was your airplane. And so we did that. And we had to go to the internet, to remember how to build an airplane. And so did we win the airplane contest? No, but it was sure fun. And even in the process of thinking about what it was we were doing. So after we did the airplane, we had to build towers, or we had to build, like towers, or build a structure with 10 pieces of paper to see who could build the biggest thing. And that was a little bit hard because you have paper that you have to figure out how it's going to stand and how you're going to put it together. Well, my team didn't win that one either. We were close, but we didn't win that one either. I think we probably came in around third or fourth. I can't remember. But just in that process of thinking about that, we didn't have a whole lot of time, and we had to sit there and, it's like, think on your feet, or think on your unze, and try to do something and come up with ideas. And then you have to strategize. If that didn't work, how do you do it again? Or trying to see what you can do. And so that kind of made me think about going back again to place-based, and about how do we get along? Like, how do we structurally help each other build? How are we building our families? How are we building our teams? How are we building our organizations? How are we building our nation? So how do we work as teams, as a team? How do you, like, we sat down at that table, we didn't say, well, what is your position on this? And what is your position on that? We sat down, we had a task, and we had to get it done. And so that's what we were doing. And that had me thinking about things, like, because truthfully, like, the Oglala Sioux tribe, we are struggling. We are struggling with getting along. I listened to a meeting, and it's kind of like why I stopped listening to the meetings, because there were like a lot of fighting, and nobody was getting, just fighting each other. And it's hard to hear that. Like, I'm trying to be on a healing journey, and I'm trying to recover from trauma. I'm trying to recover from abusive life. I'm trying to recover from those things from childhood, And I'm not saying I had a bad childhood, but there's things that happened. And I'm not saying that my parents were bad either. But life can deal some things. And so I don't necessarily want to give my energy to that. I think of, there's this lady, she's a I don't know what she is, like a motivational speaker maybe, but years ago when I first started, I got on my sobriety, and I just decided I'm going to work this. And one of the first books I read was Yesterday I Cried, and it was by Ayanla Van Sant. And I read that book and read her story. I had some similar connections and things, but there was a chapter in there that was called, oh, what was it? Spilling the milk. So if you spill it, clean it up. That was her message in that whole chapter. It's okay. It's okay to spill the milk, but if you spill it, clean it up. So if you make a mistake, it's okay. It's okay to make a mistake. But if you make the mistake, clean it up. And that's like really important. I think we don't have enough forgiveness. And the biggest parts maybe is we don't forgive ourselves. Maybe we might forgive others, but we give ourselves the harder time. And so that team building exercise really made me think about that. Like, you make a mess, clean it up. Spill them out, clean it up. There's no reason to carry this on, because when we carry it on, it ends up to division, and it just brings chaos, a lot of chaos. Unnecessary drama, because you spilt the milk. So if you spilt the milk, clean it up. And excuse me. So I think one of the other things about that team building exercise is that not only were we people that didn't know each other, like we didn't even have a hierarchical order, we're just like, okay, what do we got to do? We got to, all right, so what's the ideas, so then you're just trying to do it. And so I think leadership, a lot of times, because we're following the Washichu model, that we need this hierarchy of privilege, who knows who's it, who's the who. And I think what that taught me or reminded me of is that we are all Ikje. We're Ikje Wichasha, Ikje Wia, right? We're all Ikje. We're all the same. Nobody's better. Nobody's better than the other. We're all human beings. And the privilege that is given to somebody is a false sense, because we are all the same. We are all, and some people will take this and use it to undermine others. Like I was saying earlier, what external forces are putting pressure in our governments and in our communities and in our families? So if we have people that are self-harming through alcohol and drugs, well, who's putting that there? There's external influence in the family. And the reason that external influence is there is because they want the money, they want the profit and the power. They need you to be dependent on them. They need you to be in a place where you need them. So that's what we have to know and acknowledge and clean it up. And I don't have to go over there and try to clean up that drug dealer, but I need to clean up what I'm doing. If I've made a mess, I need to clean it up. So that's how we should be doing. Kind of crazy conversation. Anyways. And then one of the other sessions that kind of stood out to me, it was put on by American Indian College Fund. And they did something. They have bingo cards. And I got to find out where those bingo cards come from, because they were really cool bingo cards. They didn't have numbers on them. And so I got to find out where they got the bingo cards, because I want to do that type of bingo. And then the other thing was policy. So how does policy impact us? And so I want to talk about that, because I'm going to transition us into talking about Gaza. And I know you guys probably don't want to talk about Gaza, but I'm going to talk about Gaza. And so policy, how does policy influence? So we know right now, like the biggest concern is DEI. DEI is affecting grants and funding. And so how do we stand and protect people? And so then I was raising questions about like data. Like we don't even protect our data. But how do we allow for Donald Trump to tell us what we can and cannot do as a tribal nation? We need to be asserting ourselves, and our tribal governments need to be protecting the tribal organizations underneath them. So if we are talking about diversity, we should be talking about diversity. If we are talking about equity, we should be talking about equity. If we are talking about inclusion, we should be talking about inclusion. Because the whole world is diverse. We are all not white people. We are all not Donald Trump, and we are all not MAGA. We are diverse. This whole world is filled with human beings that are growing in their own place, their own environments that shape them and who they are. We come with a Nazula. And our Nazula grows based off of our own inner individual self in our environments. So I really thought, why are tribal governments not standing to this? It's the same thing I was saying in Tennessee. In Tennessee, they have these AI rules. They laid them out and they said that people have the right to protect, they own their own personal data. So saying that Meta and all these people can't take their and claim ownership of their data. But our tribes aren't even doing that. They're not even stepping up and saying, hey, you know why they're not? Because they're too busy fighting about things that don't matter. I mean, they do matter, but that's what they're fighting about. They're not over here fighting about these bigger issues that we need to be doing to protect people, because we are on social media. We are using the internet. We are using Starlink. I'm not. Oh Lord, I am not using Starlink. But there are some people using Starlink because remember the tribe put the ban. But I'm glad to say they must have lifted it because, excuse me, Golden West is gonna lay fiber optic. So with all of that being said, like we need to be in a place where our tribal government is making rules to protect us from external threat. There are rules for internal threats. They have a police force. They have all of these things. If our tribal council is concerned about these things, they need to be in our communities. They should be feeding the people. They should be meeting with the people. They should be doing those things instead of just being in these committee meetings. Those committee meetings take away from them, they disconnect them from community, those committee meetings, as often as they have them. I mean, they should have committee meetings, but every week, and they don't do no work. All they do is they sit there and they listen to somebody else present, and then they go away and then they come back and present again. That person didn't do anything. But I can't even say if they listened. So that's what probably needs to happen, my opinion. So why does it matter? Why does our data matter? Why does all this stuff matter? Why should our tribal councils be trying to stand up and protect us against Donald Trump and the MAGA movement and the billionaires? It's because that's who's influencing them. And it's hard to think about and see, but I'm sure of it. There was, the youth came last year or the year before, they went to council and they had a resolution for Gaza. And one council member voted no. And you have to think about that. Like, why did he do that? Why would he not stand up for Indigenous people throughout the world? Because what's happening to them is exactly what happened to us. I keep saying that. I watch it and then I know, oh, this is what they're gonna do. And then I think, oh, this is what's gonna happen next. 2 years ago I was saying that. I said that it's like eventually, be careful. Eventually they'll be trying to put you on reservations, even though Gaza is such a small strip, they're trying to and they are now put them in smaller places and cram more people. And in the event to make it all work, they have to kill a lot of people. And they call that like blood libel. There's a whole thing. I'm just like astonished, like the things that I learned. Like what? Yeah. Remember how they used to judge like the peoples down in South America for human sacrifice? Well, that's kind of what this is about. Human sacrifice. They're not taking them to the volcano, but they're sure sacrificing them. And it's for power. Human sacrifice for power. That's crazy. And I feel like I am just all out there now. It's like, huh, this is like insane. But that's what it is. And we all know it now. And it's crazy. So kudos, much whooplas to the people that actively got involved to bring a ceasefire, putting the pressure. And so we have a ceasefire, not really a ceasefire, but we do have a ceasefire. I mean, they're still bombing Gaza City, but we have a ceasefire. They are bringing food in, but we're still having this bombing going on. It is a ceasefire. That's what they're saying. Donald Trump is sending 200 troops to Israel to safeguard whatever's happening in Israel. I think it's to make sure they stop bombing, but they're still bombing with American bombs. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is they are going to send in Middle Eastern, I gotta quit saying that. I forget what the term is supposed to be now. Asian? Anyways, so there's going to be like people from Qatar and Egypt and Turkey and I forget the other that are going to send the troops into Gaza. And so those people are going to help people in Gaza. So I understand. But there's food. I was just on Serdaz Live this morning and I was so happy to see him. And he's doing okay. Barely has signal. And so he was really funny and then he lost signal. So they have to operate off of eSIMs. And so people throughout the world have always been sending, since this started, eSIM cards. So that's how they're able to communicate with the world because Israel cut off the Wi-Fi. So they have to get eSIM cards and then they have to try to figure out a place where they can get a signal off of the eSIM card. And so that's how they are communicating. And so I got to see Serdar and he's funny. Telling jokes, and it just, makes me feel good because I've only known them since, the beginning of this war or this genocide. I've only known them since then, but it feels like I've known them much longer. And I really do care about them and I worry about them. And it's just like I don't know their families, like that, but I feel like they're my family. And so I really care about them. And so some of them, so because of the ceasefire, there's still people in North Gaza, or Israel is still in North Gaza and East Gaza. So they're supposed to be pulling out of there. They were still trying to reclaim, like saying we're going to maintain a presence, but now they're going to be pushed back to a neutral zone. And I think Hamas is negotiating that they have to get all the way out. They have to get all the way out. And so what's going to happen, I believe, is what's going to happen is soon the regular, media or whatever, the gross media is going to be able to go in and they're going to see the devastation. And so this is the place where this is where we're at for justice. Because if we don't push justice, this will all collapse and those people will be back in the same situation and worse. We have to raise Cain because of Palantir and their spying, their drones, their all of this stuff. Why? Because this is what they're trying to do to us as Americans. So we need to be top notch about this. We need to be on it. Like, look what's happening in Portland and Chicago. Donald Trump is saying he's going to increase security, calls anybody that disagrees with him Antifa, whatever that is, and silencing voices. So And I wanted to say this because it's so important for us to recognize and realize the only reason why there is something happening in Gaza is that it's because every individual person on this planet has raised Cain, has done something, called, protested, marched, just continuously. And now it's election time and people are ripping away. We're at that place of, remember they talk about boycott, divestment. We are divesting. We can't, like, there's no way, like, you and I are going to afford Caterpillar. Like, we might buy Caterpillar pants, but there's no way we afford those big machines. But because of what we're doing in the strategies, like I keep telling you guys, I do the no thanks app. Anything that's affiliated, I do not buy. Starbucks is closing down businesses. McDonald's is starting to do that too. Why? Because nobody wants to eat the genocide or drink the genocide anymore. There's still people, there's still people doing it. And I'm sure the pro-Israel people are over there like really eating the burgers. But I haven't eaten there for 3 years now. 3 years. I have not gone to McDonald's. 3 years I have not drank one drop of Starbucks. I won't do it. Somebody offers it to me, even if it's paid for or whatever, I won't drink it. No, it'll be a no thank you. I don't drink that stuff. It's horrible. And if somebody buys it for me, I'm just like, it's in the trash. I won't. I absolutely won't. So I say that to people, don't buy me those things because your feelings are going to be hurt because I'll throw it away. I won't even give it away. Why would I have somebody else promote it? Nope, I'll throw it away. Anyways, I'm like that. I'm on it. I know it. So, so those are the things that we're at. Like, I'm waiting for the day. I don't know when that's going to be, but where I will be at a conference in Israel somewhere, and they are doing a land acknowledgement to the Palestinians. That day, I'm waiting for it. But as it is right now, I can't travel anywhere because I don't think I can get a passport. Did you know that Donald Trump is taking our passports? If you speak out against him, or like if you're pro-Palestinian, yeah. And I'm pro-Palestinian. I'm pro-human rights. So I'll probably never get off this continent. I'm probably here forever. I had dreams, so I had dreams one day I was gonna go somewhere, but it might just be to Wyoming. So I want to be clear that just because there's a ceasefire, it doesn't mean that there's freedom, that they're free. They are not free yet. They are not. And we need to stand to that. The only reason why they're doing this is because they're losing. They're losing the narrative. They have lost the narrative. If you look at the world polling, the United States polling, they have lost. Their propaganda war has ended. Nobody wants them. Politicians are greatly affected, and I am so embarrassed. The Democrats are not even speaking out. You know who is? Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like, she don't even care. She don't even care. I am like, wow. And she's just outright talking about Gaza. Like, she is. She's talking about the genocide. She's calling it a genocide. She's talking about how civilians are being killed and children and women. She is. I'm like, holy smokes. And then on the left, you have them promoting Jasmine Crockett, who isn't even saying one damn word. Why? Because she accepts money from the pro-Israel lobby. It's not APAC, but it's an affiliate. It's an education affiliate. So she's standing up there trying to talk all whatever. I just have a lot of disrespect for her. I'm like, man, really? And then here we have like Marjorie Taylor Greene out of left field. Hey, like, how'd that happen? Tucker Carlson out of left field. Candace Owens out of left field. You're like, what? And so there's this thing they're calling for like a purple revolution where they're saying, and there's a lot of people, MAGA people they are MAGA. Make America, they're America first. And they are mad about what is happening in Gaza, that our money is being there and not spent on us. And the realization of why we are in the situation we are is because of the billionaire class in America and in the world. That's why Great Britain is in that situation, France is in that situation, Italy, Spain, Germany, even in I don't know, Qatar, Egypt, Jordan, billionaire class, Saudi Arabia, UAE, billionaire class. They're all about this, and so they're in the support of Israel because it is their power. They are trying to change this world and just rule the world through their money and power. So there's this movement called Purple Revolution. I don't know if I'm in the Purple Revolution because this was pointed out that there's like two Purple Revolutions. There's the Zionist Purple Revolution, and that's the people that are just, want to fight with ICE or want to, fight with the No King's Day and stuff like that. And then there's the Purple Revolution over here that is anti-Zionist. And so that's where we're getting to the pro-Zionist, anti-Zionist. That's where we're at. We're getting in America now. So I don't know if it's a purple revolution. Maybe it is, but that's where we're at. And people are really clearly seeing it. And so if you look at people who are talking about a purple revolution, you go and look and see if they've ever said anything about Gaza. You're going to see that if they did or if they didn't. But yet they're talking about this. And those are the no kings people. Yeah, pay attention. Pay attention to it. So here we are in Spokane, Washington. My mom was really worried that I was going to Portland. Have you seen the things in Portland? They have the frog revolution. I think I'm down for that. I said I'm gonna get me one of those air frog things, and then I'm gonna put like the AIM headband or whatever on. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be the frog on the res. Maybe I'll walk around in front of the tribal building, be the revolution and tribal council. I don't know. We'll see. It's so funny. So, let me go and look at the comments. I don't know how many comments. It's just maybe Ray's commenting. Oh, good morning, Sean. You guys got to get the comments going, man. You have to like really chat it up. I know I need to be chatting it up, but I can't chat it up and talk at the same time. I'm not what do they call that? I don't know. It's like patting your head and rubbing your stomach. I can't do that. But I want to thank you guys for coming on, following, joining. I want to remind you to like. So there's a little thumbs up thing there by the video. Click on it, like it. There's a thing up on the top that asks you can subscribe. So subscribe. And then there's a button down here that says share. And you can share this YouTube to any platform. That's why I picked YouTube. And I'm struggling with that decision right now because of that darn Google. Somebody else should buy YouTube from Google so we don't have to move again. Damn it. Anyways, but you can do that. Commenting, you can send it an email, you can spread the news, you can do all of that stuff. But anyways, I want to thank you guys. It's been a while, and we've been here and you've been here with me. And so even though today is motel coffee, we're in Spokane and Toksa Hour is going home. So I didn't come here as Toksa Hour, though I came here as Maggie Ross. So in closing, I want to say to you, as Lakota people or as Indigenous people of this continent, it's written into our history that we, as prisoner of war. And the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation is a prisoner of war camp 334. And so when we think about that and we think about the struggle of the people of Gaza and our struggle, because we're still in struggle, it's the same. It's the same struggle. We are being controlled and manipulated by the billionaire class for a very long time. And so let's free ourselves. Let's free ourselves. So anyways, from Spokane to the prairie, from the Black Hills to Gaza, we are part of a global movement for reclamation and justice. You guys have a great, great Sunday, and you have a great, great week. Happy Indigenous Days for people who celebrate it as that. If you're in South Dakota, tomorrow is Happy Native American Day. So it'd be a good day to be Indigenous. Every day is good day to be Lakota, but every day is. Anyway, Toksa Ake.